Alright guys, Billy Murray back more. Medium. Continuing on, it is the next afternoon already. Gonna have a few hours, or hour or so to play this here, so let's do it. Probably gonna listen to podcasts as well. Listening to the Survivor All-Stars, Michigan All-Stars casting podcast. That's something obviously everyone's excited for.
That emotional train wreck. So, I opted out and decided to produce. So, I really just like producing a lot, and I wanted to do challenges and stuff, so I thought that would be more fun.
I hate to think what kind of photos need this much secrecy.
Is correct. So, happy to have made that choice.
So, we got a lot of questions about how this all first got started. Like, how far back were we planning All-Stars? And I'm pretty sure that as soon as season 2, we knew that season 5 was going to be All-Stars, right? Like, even during season 2, people were already talking about season 5 being All-Stars. As far as I can remember, that was just
3 liquids to develop the photo.
I would say even we knew there was going to be an All-Star season, like, as far back as season 1. Like, as soon as, like, I got voted out, Cooper got voted out, I was like, oh, we're coming back for All-Stars. And that was, Cooper mentions this, too, in his application video. Like, one of the reasons, because George didn't produce season 2, he wasn't sure if we wanted to keep it going, or he wasn't sure if he wanted to keep it going for season 2, but me, Cooper, a few other people, Sarah Gallagher, were like, no, we definitely got to keep this going for season 2. A lot of the motivation behind that was because, Cooper wanted to play in the All-Star season, and I wanted to play again, so that's why we kept the club going. So, yeah, the notion that there was going to be an All-Star season existed from basically day 1 of season 1, essentially.
Huh?
Yeah, and I think timing-wise, it just worked out that season 1 was in the fall semester. We've wrapped up season 2 at the end of a lot of people's school year, and since Cooper was the new host, timing-wise, it just made sense to wait another year, wait a couple more seasons until his senior year, since, again, like Matthew said, a driving force was for Cooper and other people from season 1 to play.
After season 4 ended, we decided we needed a new host. Obviously, Cooper couldn't host and play. That would be ridiculous. And so we had a whole hosting application process.
Hope he's not using it as a test.
From what I remember, you couldn't be involved in the selection of the host if you were planning to play on All-Stars. So at that point, people were already kind
Cooper
of
was involved.
Except, Cooper.
Cooper was involved.
Yeah, Cooper. I think George was involved too. From what
George was on the casting committee. Was people who were going to be on production for All-Stars and the former hosts, which at that point were 2 of them. So.
Yeah. So Brady applied to be host, and so did Richard, Austin, and Shannon, actually, the recent winner of the fan favorite poll. So I actually wasn't around for the hosting process, so do you guys want to talk a little bit about how that went? I was not there for it.
Basically, we had everyone who wanted to apply submit a video of them doing a few different tasks in terms of, commenting on a challenge, setting up some tribal questions, and really just taking a moment to explain why they should be hosts, why they want to be hosts, and why they think they would make a good host. And a lot of the criteria we were looking at was their ability to speak clearly, be engaging, and yeah, I'll let Matthew and Chloe add anything else.
Developer.
Yeah, that's the main gist of the structure for it. In terms of how the actual decision happened, we all basically wrote down our thoughts on all of their videos and such, and then had a very long discourse just trying to decide who was the best option. It ended up being very close between Brady and Shannon. It was 5 votes versus 6 votes. So what it really came down to was they were both really great candidates. They were all great candidates, but Brady and Shannon especially have a great screen presence, very funny, easily able to come up with things to say. So we knew that was already going to be great. And then I think the reason that it ended up being Brady was more of a timing thing, because we knew that he had already been on production. Shannon had just come off of season 4, so she didn't have any production experience yet, so we weren't sure what that would look like. And then also Shannon at the time was on the women's hockey team, which is very time consuming, and we know that the host needs to be at every challenge.
Wait, what was this?
A timing thing, because we knew that he had already been on production. Shannon had just come off of season 4, so she didn't have any production experience yet, so we weren't sure what that would look like. And then also Shannon at the time was on the women's hockey team, which is very time consuming. And we know that the host needs to be like at every challenge, have a very easy schedule that's like flexible, and be able to put a lot of time into everything. So I think that was the primary reason that like swayed it in either direction, but they're both awesome candidates.
Yeah, and then ultimately Shannon ended up not applying to play on All-Stars. Shannon was very... I don't think she really wanted to play again after her experience on season 4, and she was interested in hosting, but ended up helping out on production and stuff. And just was... I think she didn't necessarily really want to have like a super central role necessarily in Survivor after just kind of being burned out a little bit from season 4, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, definitely. Especially given how far she made it, how emotionally taxing it was on her versus some of the other season 4 people who are on the cast didn't have as much, probably as much emotional drain from the season as she would have. So definitely a smart decision on her part to take a step back for it for a bit.
And then get emotionally destroyed and said, hey, let's do it again.
Yeah.
There was definitely, as Chloe said, like the knowledge that All-Stars was going to be significantly more emotional than the previous seasons, and some of the previous seasons had already been pretty emotional.
So it's that
was a contributing factor to a lot of things.
At least now I know the order.
The season 4 returnees were cast basically with All-Stars in mind. Like, it was people who we thought for one reason or another weren't going to be around. So, like, originally, Matthew, you didn't think you were going to be around, right?
Yeah, I think it was sort of happening at the same time that I figured out I was doing my master's program, and that we were sort of figuring out, like, I need to make a decision on season 4. And I remember, I'm pretty sure I asked Cooper, I was like, do you think I would have a better shot in All-Stars or, like, in season 4? And he's like, yeah, probably season 4. So I probably would have been, you know, I might have been an early boot of All-Stars, or I might have won, you know, like, I don't know, I definitely could have won. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, so I was, like, I kind of knew I was probably going to be around, but I made the decision to do season 4, and then, like you mentioned, Eliza, Jack, and Ben, or Eliza and Jack were seniors, so they were graduates, so they weren't going to have another chance. And I think Ben had, like, a musical theater commitment or some, like, a play or a show or something like that, so it was going to be in the fall. Yeah.
Ben was going to be studying abroad the next year.
Who's there? What the fuck is this?
Okay. Oh, what the fuck is that?
Hello? Are you all right?
Don't look at me!
Oh, fuck.
Don't go! It all ends in me.
What just happened? What the fuck? Okay. I feel like no chance to do anything. Again, you would think considering this is a PS5 game, this game would load way quicker than this.
Wait! Don't go!
Oh, God.
Don't leave me here. Alone. Naked. Let me try you on.
Oh, God. No!
Don't worry. It all
What the
ends
fuck?
in me.
How am I supposed to get through this thing? Oh, am I supposed to? This is kind of dumb. Oh, there's a patch for Horizon.
Wait, don't go.
Oh, God.
Don't leave me here. Alone. Naked.
This is pretty cool.
Let me try you on.
Oh, God. No!
Don't worry. Just
Oh my god, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck, okay. That scared the shit out of me.
never again. Everything. It all ends in me.
Not a fan of light, huh? Fucking figures.
Oh fuck.
Where is she? But why would she hide? Why? It all ends in me.
This is fucking dumb. Why can't I run faster now? Because I don't know. I don't know if I care enough about this game. Like, I'm already kind of just like whatever on it. It's like, if there's like stealth fucking sections, I guess.
Okay, that's what it was.
I don't care.
Yeah, which actually, funny enough, that ended up not happening because it meant production for All Stars. But
Exactly.
yeah, but originally,
I was going to be studying abroad the next year.
oh, okay, that's what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, which actually, funny enough, that ended up not happening because it meant production for All Stars. But
Exactly.
yeah, but originally he was going to be abroad.
Oh shit.
When I got brought on midway through the summer, when the hosting decision had already been made, and then I was editing season 2, and I was texting somebody, and I was like, yo, like, what's the filming plan for All Stars? And someone was like, there is none. I was like, well, why don't you add me to that group chat there, and we'll get this show on the road. So interestingly enough, All Stars, when we started filming it, there was still a decent amount of season 2 left to edit, and all of seasons 3 and 4. So all 3 of those seasons, but especially seasons 3 and 4, have like foreshadowing and like hints and stuff in them about stuff that happens in All Stars.
Why?
So I don't know. I'd highly recommend going back, maybe doing some rewatching in preparation. Obviously,
Take some notes.
Take some notes. Yeah. Obviously, like the Megan and Jackson stuff in season 4 is like an obvious example. If you know they end up dating, all of that has a lot more. It has a totally different context to it, and I would definitely recommend watching those scenes. But there's other stuff that will reveal itself in time for sure, and you'll be like, "Wow, there it was all along, right in my face."
It's one whole grand plan for Ian. You know, he plans out seasons 2 through 5 on his whiteboard, and he knows exactly what's going to happen. So.
Let's get into the actual casting. So let's talk first about the people who were just not available. Like right off the bat, we're gonna try and run down pretty much everybody if we can, to like explain what happened to them. But pretty much, you know, a lot of the biggest names of people had already graduated. Liz, Thal, Tarowski, Mitch, Brittany, Sarah X, Maggie, who else? Who else was just gone? Aliza, Dale, Ivy, A lot of season 4, actually.
Most of season 1 and 2.
Yeah, so let's just go through season 1 we'll go through each season real quick. Most of these can take that long. Jonathan, was he still around? I actually don't know anything.
No, I think he had graduated.
So he graduated. Shay was still around, but she wasn't interested really. She was never super into it. Ivy, a lot of season 4 actually.
Most of season 1 and 2.
Yeah, so let's just go through season 1 we'll go through each season real quick. Most of these can take that long. Jonathan, was he still around? I actually don't know anything.
No, I think he had graduated.
So he graduated. Shay was still around, but she wasn't interested really. She was never super into it. Nikhil had graduated. Jess had graduated. Lavana we'll get to. So Lavana.
Now with your
Okay, we got through it. But I'm assuming there's gonna be more though, right?
We'll get to Lavana. Yeah, we'll skip over her for now. With Lavana, there's always a story. Cam graduated. Kara graduated. Angela was still around, right, Matthew?
I believe so. She was a sophomore during season 1, I think.
What?
Either a
Okay,
sophomore or
Angela.
junior, so yeah. But she didn't express interest in playing All-Stars. So.
Angela and Shay were like those two people that like we would like text in your chat like just saw them in a timing hall makes sense. Like never otherwise.
And then Liz graduated, Paul graduated, Brittany graduated, Mitch graduated, and Tarowski all graduated. So pretty much most of season 1 had just already graduated right off the bat.
We would have loved to have paid to have them come back and, offer them a job as a player on All-Stars, but it wasn't in the budget, so.
Season 2, Noah. So I was thinking about this. I feel like he
Doesn't
could have applied. He didn't, but
Yeah.
He was around. He actually came to the season 2 viewing party for the season 2 premiere. So he was definitely on campus and around, but I don't think he was interested.
do you think if he had applied, would he have been someone who would have maybe had a chance, you think?
It's interesting because I think something you mentioned in your notes, Ian, is the viability of how many first boots are we really going to cast on an All-Star season. And so I think it definitely would have been a discussion because it was a discussion and he would have been part of that. I personally don't know if I would have cast him. Does anyone else feel differently?
I think he would have had he would have been a long shot, like that, but he would have had a shot.
Yeah.
I think a season 2 player who would have been more of a shot is Daniel, who was also still around but didn't apply. Kind of fell out of the community sort of after season 2. I think Daniel was super around in season 2, and I think he could have been a really interesting character. I would have been interested in bringing him back.
Him and Kevin would have been interesting. I think Kevin was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Came up in a few questions.
Oh, okay, I remember.
yeah. The Daniel blindside was like everybody just knew that as Kevin's like big thing. So certainly, he definitely was relevant, even if he didn't make a physical appearance. Further on in season 2, Jeremy graduated, AJ graduated, but AJ would definitely not have been cast. Sarah Avery, she was still around, didn't apply, wasn't super interested. Also somebody who I think was kind of burned out of it the first time and like didn't really want to do it again. But
Such a sweetheart that like when I heard of the All-Star season, like I feel like it's like I love her and that, but like
I would have wanted to cast her if she had applied. That's another one.
Most people
I feel
spend
like.
their whole lives
Just
I think
seeing
he
only a
definitely
fraction
would
of
have
our
been a strong
reality.
consideration.
Lucky them.
Chidi graduated, but Chidi probably would not have been cast. I don't think. Abby. So we'll also skip over to Abby because Abby did apply for all.
I guess I'll pause.
I have spent my whole life looking beyond the edges of our reality. Even as a child, I saw things that would break a grown man. Eventually, I grew into it. It became my normal. But that thing, it was anything but normal. I've never encountered anything like this. This ravenous. I felt lost. I came to Neva looking for answers, and all I got was more questions. What was that monster? Who was Thomas? And what did he want from me?
Marianne! Wake up, please! Marianne!
I woke up with icy water in my veins. I wanted nothing but to get out of there. To just get up and run until my legs give out, until my lungs collapse. But I knew I couldn't. It wouldn't have solved anything. And besides, sadness needed my help. Huh?
Okay.
For All Stars is one of the people who applied but did not get on. So we'll talk about her when we get to the actual casting. Maggie graduated, Jack graduated, Mike graduated, Sarah X graduated, and Mallory graduated.
Yeah.
Season 3, Richard.
Is someone
Richard
there?
applied for host, did not get it. Applied for All Stars, did not get it. So we'll talk about him also later. He was definitely in contention. Nicholas, he did not apply, but funny story, if Nick had been on All Stars, all of Tormenta would have played twice.
Sadness?
He would have had a long
Oh,
shot.
really?
Too.
Wrong track.
Are you okay?
Do you guys break season 3
was
people you
that
think
thing?
that you would have cast Nick?
Yeah, I love him. He's
Hello?
hilarious.
I think it would have been interesting. I think the thing holding him back is like he didn't really like know anyone or make any connections. I think he would have been
Richard?
such an easy first boot.
No,
I don't know.
Sadness.
But, like, as a
The man
character,
I'm
like,
looking for
I have,
is
like, a-
named Thomas.
Plus.
Who's Richard?
The day room.
Day room.
Day room. Find a way into the day room.
class with him like 2 years
Are you
later, and
trying to
he
show me
like
the way?
was like, "We're best friends. We played strategy." I was like, "I never talked to you, but okay." Like character love him, definitely with that consideration. But, yeah.
Yeah. Emily L. didn't apply.
No.
Sarah Minnis did apply. So we'll get to her also. In general, I think that there was a much stronger. The casting pool for girls was stronger than the casting pool for guys of like who had applied, at least from my memory.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, and I'm sure we'll get to, but I think it was harder on the girls' side in terms of trying to figure out number and how to split everything up evenly. It definitely made it difficult.
Yeah. Chloe, we talked about you. Ben, season 4, joined production. He was actually on this casting committee and he couldn't make this Zoom call, but he did send a voicemail that we'll play later. So you'll get a little Ben in. Eliza graduated. Austin was also on production, was also on the casting committee. He couldn't make this meeting either. He was more interested in just doing production again. I think that just interested him more than playing. Does that seem fair to you guys?
Yeah.
Brady wanted to host. Cassie didn't apply. I don't really think Cassie would have been cast, but maybe.
Probably not. It definitely would have made the girl pool even more difficult, but knowing what her scheduling looked like during season 3, I think we would have leaned towards no. Very tough. Yeah.
Devin. This one I think is slightly controversial because it seems like some people don't think he would have been cast if he had applied, but I think maybe I would have pushed for him.
I think he would have had a shot, although it's hard to say like who he would have been cast in place of because we did get like a really strong cast. So it's hard to think who would I take off in place of Devin, but he would have been a strong consideration.
He got
for
second.
the
Like
last
how can you not cast him?
Yeah, I think if he were in discussion, I think it still would have come down to how much time he put in and how much he stuck around or showed face, because Especially with a lot of the other guys, there were some pretty easy locks. So, like Matthew said, it would have been difficult to figure out who to replace Devin with, or vice versa.
All right, on to season 4. Aaron Murphy did not apply, and I can't see a scenario where she would have been cast. Camila, this is the big one. Camila did apply. We will get to Camila also later on. So keep listening if you want the Camila juicy gossip. Katie, Matthew, you explained this one. I don't know what the deal is with this.
She thought she had applied and like it didn't go through or something, and then so she kind of applied late. So we like didn't have her like in our initial conversations. And then when she did apply, like it was a good application, but it was like we said, it was sort of late, and we sort of like already had like a rough cast, and she was considered. It just sort of that didn't work in her favor, and then I mean we did consider her. Eventually she didn't make it on, but that also kind of worked against her, is that her application kind of came late. I think she thought she had submitted it, just didn't come through or something. So
my memory was that like it was so late that like the cast had pretty much already been decided. And then it was like, are we going to boot off somebody who we've sort of already, like, decided on?
It was definitely after interviews, at the very least.
Yeah.
Because I don't even remember really
discussing her
at the casting meeting.
How many people died here?
Yeah, it's a bummer. I would have loved to see Katie play again. I think she was a really interesting character in season 4. So, Ivy graduated. Nate did not apply, wasn't interested at all, but I would have loved to see Nate back. I think that would have been amazing.
Always. Bring Nate back anytime, any day.
Yeah, because he's like best friends with Bree, so that would have been really interesting, I feel like. Kat did apply, but it was like a joke application. And here's my hot take I'm going to come out with, is we should have cast Kat. This is my hot take. Her entire application, I'm going to read it. I have it right here. I have a few of the answers right now. Because there's not the whole thing, but just a few of them because they're funny. So for the question of where would Survivor be in terms of your priorities? She said below watching paint dry and watching grass grow.
It's going to be a little tough then, yeah.
How would you describe your relationship with Survivor Michigan? Not a fan. Oh yeah, she said, what do you think was your biggest mistake and your biggest accomplishment your season? So my biggest accomplishment was not ripping all my hair out during the game. My biggest mistake was somehow making it to the final 3.
Yeah, Kat would have been a good
auto lock right there.
So it was all just her saying, "Don't cast me."
Antithesis to everybody else. Like everybody else strategic, loved the game, and then you just had Kat, and that would have been like hard for them to deal with somebody who just doesn't care. So
and she's just she probably would have been voted out like first, honestly. But
I think if Kat ended up on a tribe somehow, everyone for the first challenge would agree that tribe needed to go to tribal and vote her out.
But then they probably would have flipped it, and somebody would have tried to use her as a number.
I know, and then someone would try to pull something because it's all stars, and
But she's so she's so funny, honestly.
Yeah.
The fact that she sent in a video asking not to be cast is just too much for me. And then Shannon, we talked about Shannon. She did not ultimately really want to play, and Dale had graduated. So that's everybody who could have potentially been in the mix. Now let's get into the actual, casting of it. So who do you guys remember, was just locks, right off the bat, basically?
I mean, Cooper. Hands down. I think, honestly, and I could be a little biased, but a lot of season 2 people seemed like locks for me. Yeah. Like Bree, Sam, Lucy, Kevin, Bailey,
Nick.
Nick. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if that's also proportionate to the percentage of season 2 people who actually applied versus number of people from other seasons, but it definitely felt like all of them put in a lot of effort and desperately wanted to be on. So that's always a hands down okay,
cutters?
Sounds good.
We did, yeah. And I was just gonna say, to speak to those locks, we actually did when people applied, we sort of voted on whether we wanted to interview them or not. There are some people where we thought an interview's pointless, they're definitely gonna get on. So I think most of the people you mentioned were unanimous don't interview votes, which means we definitely want to cast them. So yeah, I think that speaks to the people who we kind of knew were locks that expressed interest for years, and who we knew were kind of really ready to be on it, and we agreed they should be on it. So
yeah. Crouch was also a lock. I think we definitely.
Oh yeah.
ready to be on it, and we agree they should be on it. So.
Yeah. Crouch was also a lock. I think we all thought he definitely after being rocked out in season 3. He deserved it. Deserved being let on All Stars, not the Rocks. That was an easy lock for everyone.
Crouch is gonna hate this, but Crouch getting rocked out to me, I think it's perfect storytelling because for me it
makes him the perfect arc for this.
It makes All Stars Crouch just even more fun because he has such a chip on his shoulder.
Oh yeah. I agree with what everyone said. I think season 1 people like Akshay and Cooper
Leia.
Just immediately in. Season 2 people, very similar thing where we feel so many good arcs that apply together, like Nick, Sam. Then season 3 I think was more of a clusterfuck where all of us were young and everyone applied and we were just shit, we can't cast 14 season 3 people.
Yeah, a lot of people in season 3 applied, but some people in season 3 it was Aaron
was a lot.
Aaron was always
Aaron was for sure, yeah.
Will, I don't remember there being much debate about Will.
Well, and even Emily P, I know there might have been some debate, but it felt pretty confident that
she was in.
Yeah, she was in too.
Yeah. You just knew there was going to be fireworks between.
Oh yeah. If you're casting Aaron, cast Emily P, get that drama.
The season 3 never ended is the thing. So to this day, it's still going on. So you just knew that All Stars was going to be good because all the season 3 people just couldn't fucking stand each other, and it was going to be great to see them have to play again together.
But it's literally season 3 is still going up and down. We're best friends with this person, we're enemies. We're best. It's been happening for 3 years now.
There are so many vendettas to this day. They're all around season 3. I don't know how.
There's just so
there was something in the water that season. I don't know what it was.
And I would almost say too that, especially because season 3 was such a dramatic season, even looking at a lot of the season 2, season 1 people who were producers for that season, it was interesting to think about, okay, Will, Aaron, Emily P, how did they interact with the producers? Because that's who they're going to be playing against this time. So that definitely played a factor into whether they were locks or not, too, I think.
I remember there was some slight consternation about Leia because she at first refused to apply because she said, I'm so good that why would I need to apply for this? They should be asking me to they should be reaching out to me.
I could speak on this a little bit as her roommate at the time. Trying to get her to submit an actual application video was pulling teeth. Because she just felt like it was ridiculous and she should have deserved a spot no matter what. There was no decision that needed to be made. It was already kind of thing. So I think there was one, I was laying in my bed and she came in and I was like, Leia, it's the day of the deadline. You just need to film something. I pull out my phone and she's like, all right, why should I be cast? Because I'm the best or something like that. And it was 2 seconds, nothing. So, and I think that kind of rubbed some people the wrong way, potentially. We want everyone to really try and show us why they want to be on this. And for Leia, it was just a different attitude in her head. But I think plenty of the viewers, and at this point also, we would agree that Leia was definitely a lock, for sure. Yeah.
I feel that juxtaposed with Cooper, especially because they were so close, similar stories. Cooper literally, we put a 3-minute limit on the video. Cooper's 2 minutes 59 seconds, explaining everything. Great video, well edited. His app was paragraphs of reasoning, and then there was just Leia who was why do you want to be on? Because I should.
Oh, Jackson. Also, I don't remember there being any real debate about Jackson, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he interviewed. His votes were 7, don't interview, 3, yes, interview. So he was a lock, all things considered. So
I thought it seems he was a somewhat polarizing character on season 4, but you have to have that guy.
In a good way. He was entertaining.
Yeah.
I remember it was because we did interview Megan, and Megan was really pissed because she was you didn't interview Jackson. You didn't interview my boyfriend. That's the first thing you said in an interview.
That's amazing.
So yeah, you'll notice I guess Jackson's locked from season 4, but less locks from season 4 than anywhere else. And I think maybe now's a good time to address the sort of season 4 conundrum, let's call it. Like, I was very disattached to season 4 in general. Like, I was kind of busy with other stuff that semester, but I think it's not a secret there was sort of production beef with cast, and basically until season 4 came out this year, it was just always seen by everyone in Smart Michigan as like the really bad season. And like, oh, it was just really boring, and Tokidoki steamrolled, and nothing happened. And the whole time production was beefing with cast and beefing with each other.
Yeah, I was abroad. Even though I helped to cast season 4, I was abroad during all of production, so I had nothing but what was in the producer chats to go off of. Conflict was in the producer chat. And it was a lot of conflict. It was a lot of like, what is going on? So I think it's also helpful for anyone who's watching this podcast to kind of, obviously it's easy for us to look back after all of these seasons have aired and see how the viewers view a lot of different characters, but at the time of casting, and us as college students, there was a lot of other factors and different mindsets going into it. But I also think with season 4, there were a lot less people who stuck around. And I mean, Ian, you already listed the number of people who had graduated from it. But I think that was also a part of the fewer number of season 4 people applying or even being in discussion for locks, because we just didn't know them as well. They're just coming off of their season. They didn't have an opportunity to be on production. So that was kind of where they were on the fence a little more.
Although I will say, in terms of, there were 12 newbies in season 4, and 4 of them got cast. So a third of the eligible population, which is the same as season 2 had 18 people and 6 got cast. So basically the same amount just seemed smaller because it was a smaller season and 4 returnees. So yeah, there wasn't a season 4 bias, but there was behind the scenes stuff. But I don't think it actually really played into casting too much. But
I think it's more just a general sort of the vibes about season.
1, 2, and 3 were a lot closer because season 4 just happened and there was some conflict with production or whatever. So season 4 was kind of seen as the other season for a little bit. But
I think it's fair to say that season 4 people probably had a bit of a disadvantage going into the casting process.
Definitely.
Just for that reason, because they it's a college club ultimately. It's not professional. We make mistakes and stuff, and I think ultimately part of the casting is everybody's friends with each other. The season 4 people are less good friends with everybody, so there's less of an emotional you're not going to hurt your friend as much by not casting them if it's somebody from season 4 because you're not as good friends with them. I think that definitely played a part, probably.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right. So originally it was meant, people were asking about this, originally it was supposed to be 20 people, 10 girls and 10 guys, because we wanted it to be even originally. So let's start talking about how that was. The guys were easier to figure out. The first 8 guys are basically locked. It was between Adam, Richard, Tom, and Dylan for the last 2 spots, essentially. So does anyone remember sort of what we were discussing of those 4, the different things? There was a lot of conversation about Dylan being a winner and whether or not we wanted that.
Yeah, I think that was the main thing against Dylan. Otherwise, I think no one disliked Dylan and didn't want him on, but it was just is it weird just to have one winner, and in such an intense season, would people just pick him out really quickly, and it would kind of be, I don't know, fair to a lot of people who want a second chance versus the person who actually won.
I got closer.
So that was kind of the Dylan thing.
I felt a slight tug
and then it was
in
just
my pocket.
Tom's
I could tell
character.
there was
We knew
Tom.
you saw Tom play, not that good, but he's entertaining as hell.
I think the biggest, exactly what Brady said, any con against Dylan was just the fact that he was a winner, but also with Tom, in my view, the only pro for him was because he was an entertaining person and kind of no other reason. And then with, who were the other 2, Adam and Richard?
Adam and Richard, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And Adam, I guess, same sort of situation, just wanted to give him another chance, even though he didn't do a whole lot very well on season 4.
So Adam, I think I was the only one to interview him, And like his like story from this interview, like he showed so much growth.
It was the
already
first time
from
that
like
ever happened.
it was literally like 3 months ago. Like he literally seemed like an entirely different person.
I touched
and was
the
like,
mirror.
I've grown. I'm here. Like
And
I know what I'm
crossed over
doing
to
now.
the other
Like,
side.
and I think a lot of it was seen was like, oh, this is not Adam that we saw from like season 4. This is like a whole new Adam.
And I think there was. I was just gonna say there was a non-canon season of Survivor Mission 4.5.
Thanks,
and Adam did that. Adam and Todd did that over the summer, and Adam went pretty far. And I think